I'm Patty Blinderen, and welcome to this episode of the ADHD-Friendly podcast. I am an ADHD coach with over 10 years experience, and my passion is finding tools and resources that create more ease in my life, and I bring them here to share with you in the hopes they do the same in your life. Today, I am recording this podcast as a do-over, which is hard for me to do, but I just noticed that when I recorded this, the first run through, I got all the details in, I checked all the boxes, but it just felt kind of low energy. And admittedly, cleaning is a challenge for me. So that was part of it. But the other part I've been thinking about playing around with was, what if I recorded while essentially talking to someone else while I'm recording it. So it's not me just talking to a video. So I have my assistant here today, Becca. She's off screen. But if you see me looking over, maybe laughing, you might hear noise in the background if I make her laugh. You never know. That's why. And I'm just going to notice if you guys end up hearing this one, then this one went a little better than the one where I just recorded it on my own. So we're just trying it out. We're running an experiment today. All right, this is episode 82. And today I am talking about laundry, dishes, and cleaning. Oh my. These are all some challenges with ADHD brain wiring that can create lots of obstacles to getting those things checked off, especially with any consistency. So I'm going to be talking about that today. But to kick it off, I'll start, as I always do, with a celebration, and I'm calling this an outsourcing celebration. And then my ADHD friendly tool is some sparkly cleaning supplies that if you're watching this episode, you'll see I do have a little bin with some cleaning supplies in it. If you're listening, I invite you to check out my YouTube channel, ADHD Friendly Podcast, to see any of the visuals that I'm sharing this episode. And then I'll dive into my topic, laundry, dishes, and cleaning, oh my. And then as always, at the end, I will highlight what's coming up in next week's episode of ADHD Friendly. All right, on to my celebration. So this is a 23 and 23 list celebration that is what I'm calling an outsourcing celebration. So one of my goals on my 23 and 23 list is to hire what I call my Alice. And my Alice means somebody else coming in and cleaning my house. Cleaning my house has always been something that is difficult for me. I find it really boring. I find it tedious. It just gets dirty again. So it's not very motivating to do it because I know it's very quickly with kids and dogs going to be, even if it is neat, it's going to get dirty again with just dog hair and mud coming in from, people walking outside, the dogs running around outside, that kind of thing. So I've wanted to outsource cleaning, house cleaning for a long time. It's been my goal on my 21 and 21 list, 22 and 22 list. And again, this year, it just keeps getting pushed to the following year. I can't seem to pull the trigger. And I know it's tied to a number of things. So I have discomfort when I think about somebody else coming in and cleaning my house. Somebody coming in and seeing the things in my house that I really have not been able to keep up with cleaning. The cost, I don't know how much it costs. I now live in the Chicago area and I don't know what the cost is here. Part of me, really struggles with believing I deserve to have somebody come in and clean my house. So I am going to highlight a book in this episode that is tied to house cleaning that had a quote in it that I'm going to highlight here that really helped me to get to this success that I'm sharing right now. And the book is, it's actually right here. I'll just hold it up while I'm talking about it. How to Keep House While Drowning. Great little, tiny little reference book. Great examples and some ideas of how to clean with more ease. And this is by K.C. Davis. And in the book, she compared the shame that we have attached often to hiring somebody else to do our house cleaning to outsourcing getting an oil change for your car. We don't feel shame when we're getting our car's oil changed, but yet why do we feel shame when we're outsourcing house cleaning? And I just loved that comparison because it just allowed me to kind of shift my perspective and see it from a different light. Like, why am I feeling shame about this? It doesn't reflect who I am as a person any more than me not wanting to change my own oil in my car reflects who I am as a person. So that created some energy and some lightness to it, but I still struggle with making the initial call. So ironically, Becca had shared a recommendation with me for somebody that does house cleaning. but the idea of reaching out to them was still really difficult. I talked in the episode on telephonophobia, which I'm sure Becca's going to put up the number of that episode in this, when she edits this podcast. But I talked about how it can be really hard to make that initial contact, pick up the phone and make phone calls. And so in talking that through with her and noticing that that was still something I was struggling with, I realized since it was her contact and she was going to share the contact with me, I asked her if she'd be willing just to share my contact information with this person and ask them to reach out to me to schedule a time to have them come to my house. That feels so much easier than me having to reach out for that initial contact. And she was more than happy to do that. So I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it fits my budget. I don't know anything other than I've taken the first step, which is my celebration, because I will not be able to hire my Alice, and my Alice is just my reference to the Brady Bunch. I don't think I shared that. It was that idea of somebody coming in and helping to get those things done that I'm just really having a hard time getting done. So maybe I will have my own version of an Alice, but at least I'm setting myself up to have a chance to see if it's possible. So that's my celebration. Outsource. And that's one of my favorite tips that works for ADHD brain wiring, is to outsource the things that you really don't have a lot of energy or interest in doing yourself, if at all possible. All right, hopefully I'll have another celebration in the future about that. Next, number 2, on to my ADHD friendly tools. And this week, they're cleaning tools. I find new cleaning supplies create so much sparkle because they're new and they're, they create interest. They create this pulling me into the task instead of me pushing myself into doing it. And new cleaning products to me are the thing that always helps me to clean something again with more ease. And what really helped to launch this was, again, the book that I was reading had a reference to a website in it, and it's strugglecare.com. strugglecare.com is K.C. Davis's website. And they had a free tool in there, looks like this, of cleaning supplies that she recommended. I love a good cleaning supply recommendation. So I went and I flagged the ones that I found interesting or that I didn't already have. And then I went to my Target and I did some shopping, and I came home with a couple of new ones, some from the list that I downloaded, this Pledge multi-surface cleaner, very interesting and sparkly because it's not just furniture polish. You can use it on all different surfaces, which I just love. Like, one tool that you can use multiple places makes it easier. I got myself a Scrub Daddy, which I've seen on Shark Tank and known about. I haven't used it yet because it's like really, really like, Becca, do you have a Scrub Daddy? No, it's like really hard. Like it's like seriously, like feel it.
Oh, that's tough.
Like it would like hurt your finger. I know. So I'm still a little intimidated by this guy, but I have it and it's sparkly and it has a smiley face, which I love. So I'm sure I'll use it at some point, maybe for like the tub, like to really get in there. And then this was my super fun. It was not on the list. It was something I found. I have some hard stone tile and flooring in a couple of rooms in my house that I didn't have in my previous houses. So I've always been a little timid about what to use to clean them. And so I found this Wyman Quartz and Stone Clean and Shine. And I got to tell you, I did not notice the citrus smell little emblem down here. It smells so stinking good. Oh my gosh. And I've shared before, I'm very sensitive to smells. I have a lot of allergies to certain scents. This was just divine. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So I loaded up my caddy, took them into my bathroom, and I spent an hour and 45 minutes cleaning my bathroom when I got home with my sparkly new supplies. New supplies work for me. It's one of those know thyself things that, I have in my personal owner's manual, what helps me get started on specific tasks. And for me, cleaning new supplies always is something that gets me started. So that's my ADHD friendly tool for this week. If something would create some interest or sparkle for you cleaning wise, it's maybe just picking, a simple little thing, like even like gloves. I found gloves, new gloves that they were sparkly too. Save myself from the Scrub Daddy getting injured. Just created enough interest to get me in there and to clean some of the things in the bathroom that really needed to be cleaned, but had not been getting cleaned because I had that interest created with the new products to try them out. And they worked really good. So I'm hoping it creates a little more ease for a while before I need to change them out and get some more sparkly things to create interest again. So that's the tool for this week. On to the main topic for today. Laundry, dishes, and cleaning. Oh my. Now I'm going to work at trying to keep my energy up a little bit, Becca. This is why I have you here. When I talked about this on the recording I already did for this episode, it literally drained the crap out of me just talking about it. So I'm hoping to keep my energy up a little bit more, because this is definitely a harder topic. Becca's doing like little cheers behind, so it's helping like literally hold my energy up. So I call cleaning the last frontier. I think of it as like deep as the ocean or as vast as space. It's just this really, really, really challenging task for me. There's so many pieces to it. There's so many things to know how to clean, to know how often to clean. I've never been great at cleaning to begin with, and I don't like it. So it's something I've definitely felt a lot of shame connected to over the years. And I've bought a lot of resources to help me. So I've got a little stack of books going over here. These are all books that I've purchased on cleaning and organizing. I do love to organize. I hate to clean. And so a couple of the cleaning things, these are just my cleaning books. And again, these do create some sparkle and some interest. But a couple of them really like the life-changing magic of tidying up absolutely did not work for my brain. I know it's really popular, has tons of positive reviews, works for lots of people out there. But this is something I know about ADHD brain wiring. What works for the majority often doesn't work for us. So it's the 95% thing where 95% of the people this might work for. I'm definitely one of the 5% it did not. Although I did find some of the ideas really sparkly, the approach just shut me down. And while I found them interesting, I couldn't get started. But these two books are the ones I read to prepare for this podcast. So the first I've already referenced, How to Keep House While Drowning. She talks about cleaning as care tasks. And she defines care tasks as cooking, cleaning, laundry, feeding, dishes, and hygiene. Okay, when I read feeding, I was like, what does that mean? Is that not tied in with cooking? What I loved was she broke it out. And so she described feeding as like your nutritional needs. What are your preferences? What are your meal times? So not cooking and all of the executive functioning that goes into going into making a grocery list, deciding on the menus you're going to use, the recipes you're going to cook with, and the actual cooking of the food. It's more about what do you need nutritionally in that food? What do some people like to eat? What are they not going to eat? Those kinds of things. So I found that really interesting that she broke that out as a separate care task. At the same time, I also found that a little overwhelming because I was like, one more thing to think about. But I have a quote that I want to read from her book that really resonated with me, and I'm going to share it with you. So she says, first, you must have the executive functioning to deal with the sequentially ordering the tasks and prioritizing them. You must learn which cleaning must be done daily and which can be done on an interval. Yeah. Like as soon as I read that, I was like, yes. And what is that? What are the things that need to be done daily, and what's the interval for the other things? She continues, you must remember those intervals. Yep. You must be familiar with cleaning products and remember to purchase them. Yeah. You must have the physical energy and the time to complete the tasks and the mental health to engage in a low dopamine errand for an extended period of time. Oh, yeah. Just my bathroom, hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. Okay. Then she says, you must have the emotional energy and the ability to process any sensory discomfort that comes with dealing with any dirty or soiled materials. So this example I'm going to share, like if you really have an aversion to, say, cleaning toilets or getting into like a shower and cleaning, the grout or something. If there's certain things that when they're dirty, like I have this for like trash cans, I hate cleaning the inside of a trash can. If that's something that you have an aversion to, or it's really going to, drain your emotional energy, having a strategy for that is going to be important. She says, just clean as you go, quote unquote, sounds nice and efficient, But most people don't appreciate the hundreds of skills it takes to operate that way and the thousands of barriers that can interfere with execution. Yeah. This little paragraph here that I just read to you is what resonated so much with me. I read it online in the little inside this book on Amazon, and I ordered the book for same day delivery and devoured it. Just literally read it cover to cover in one sitting. Just found it really helpful in shifting perspective. I found her language really non-judgmental and accepting. Not a ton of actual cleaning tips. So I do want to acknowledge that. It's not really a do this, then this, and this, but it is really helpful at shifting your perspective, getting out of judgment, and noticing what's going to get in your way of doing that. So I found it kind of, coach friendly. So I wanted to highlight that one. And the second that I want to highlight, besides all of my magazines with ideas that I can sometimes find sparkly and sometimes feel like a task list of things I have to do, is called The Chaos Cure. And this is by Marla Silly, and she's the Fly Lady. So if you haven't heard of the Fly Lady, she has an app, really actionable steps, breaks them down into this is what you do, how you do it. Chaos, she has, it's an acronym, and it stands for Can't Have Anyone Over Syndrome. If you've ever avoided having somebody over at your house or inviting somebody in when they came to your house because of your feeling about how the house looks, this is her approach to getting past it so that you can have people over. This resonates a lot with me. I remember when my kids were young, I never would have somebody over the house. It always felt like it was in a state of complete and utter chaos. And it used to be uncomfortable because I would have neighbors from time to time that would come knock on the door, and I would kind of be like, oh, let me just come out and talk to you on the porch, because I didn't want to have that discomfort of inviting them in. But I have had two neighbors in my life with kind of opposite approaches to cleaning. One of them, you could eat off the floor literally because she cleaned it with bleach every other day. And I just remember being so, oh my gosh, I could never have you in my house, when I realized that was her cleaning approach. But also, like, it wasn't something I aspired to. It was too much. Like, that wasn't a level I was even trying to get to. And then the other was a neighbor who I went over her house, and I remember I knocked on her door, and she was like, come on up, honey, come on upstairs. I'm upstairs. And as I was walking up the stairs, there was literally Cheerios, kind of sprinkled around, and different, pieces of chips and things on the steps as I was going up the stairs. And she was completely comfortable with me seeing that level of what, just what was in her house. That was her reality. Whether that was just her day, or if that was, kind of how it was in general, it was all okay because she was okay with it. And so what I shoot for, I call that kind of like the Goldilocks kind of zone, where I don't want to be at the, I couldn't personally be comfortable with the Cheerios all over the steps. I would kind of be like over explain. Oh my God, my kids just feel Cheerios. Like, I would have to explain that. And I would be very in my head about it. I also could never keep up with the cleaning the floors with bleach. First of all, I'm allergic to bleach. And second of all, it's not going to happen. It would take so much effort to keep up that kind of structure. Mopping is one of the tasks I absolutely despise. So it's not going to happen. But for me, like, what's the Goldilocks? Where's the middle of that line? So I'm not asking myself to do so much that I'll never do it. And I'm not asking myself to tolerate a level that I couldn't, because it would just be so uncomfortable. But what's that level for me, so I can be okay with it? And again, not perfect, right? So just kind of noticing, like, okay, if I did this more than I'm doing it now, maybe I'm doing it once a month instead of once a year. And there are parts in my house that lucky if I get to, if I could do it once a month, it would be a huge step forward, like cleaning the ceiling fan blades. Really? No. So, just, again, I'm holding up a visual, if you're listening to this, where this is just an example where she kind of breaks down, like, if you're just gonna kind of do a quick reset of your car, she's like, look at the back seat, clean out the trunk, passenger seat, floor. She breaks things down into very actionable steps. So I like her approach to doing things. It's more do this than that with action steps than how to keep house while drowning. So it's a nice kind of blend of the two examples of how to approach cleaning. And they give me a framework to go from, because what I know also about things I resist is if I don't have one do this and that kind of action steps, I avoid it because I don't know where to start. And once I finish, I'm like, oh, that felt really good. I should capture that. With cleaning, I've always struggled capturing like a process that I can kind of rinse and repeat and keep up with. And I know that that's an area I still need some structure around to support me to do it with more consistency, or just to outsource. So I'm not doing it. So those are the two books that I wanted to highlight. But I also want to kind of share some perspective of, yes, this is an area I've always struggled with, but I have grown over the years in certain skills. So I want to, kind of give some acknowledgement to things that we do evolve over time, and acknowledging that is really important in order to create a connection to what we can do, some evidence that we've, worked on certain things. Maybe we're not at the point that we'd love to be at, but we have moved past where we were. So there is progress that we want to acknowledge. And so for me, that's in three main areas. Clutter in my house is minimal. The one area I still struggle with is paper in certain areas, which Becca knows. If you turn around, which I would never right now, like I probably should, but it would be too much to try to turn this camera around, but I have like a paper little explosion going in my office right now. But in my living areas, like I just don't have a lot of clutter. I can keep everything pretty well under control. And that was certainly not always the case. I've also mastered dishes. I can't even tell you the last time my sink was filled with dishes. And that feels really good, because that used to be something that they would sit and get caked on and just be a real hassle. No more. One of the strategies that worked for me was I took like a laminated sheet of paper and just wrote in a Sharpie, like I put a circle and wrote a line through it and wrote no dishes, and I put it in the bottom of a clean sink so that my kids would see it. Because I just know that they were kind of like mindlessly putting things in the sink. And once, even if it's a spoon, something's in the sink, everything seems to go into the sink. And it was just so frustrating. And so by having that visual, it was like this reminder and a prompt: don't put it in here, it goes in the dishwasher, or wash it and put it away. Don't put it in the sink. And that just transformed that frustrating sink getting filled over and over again to, it really doesn't. It's very rare that there'll be dishes in the sink at all. And if there are, there's like just a couple, probably because the dishwasher is running. So that's something I really felt good to acknowledge when I was making this structure for this podcast was, okay, things still aren't where I want them to be, but there are things that I'm doing better with. And the third is laundry. So one of the things, again, that I did to support myself is tied to my kids. I taught them how to do laundry, because with 4 kids, it was just never ending, like literally every single day, at least 1 load, if not 2 loads of laundry needed to be done. And it was just overwhelming. The sheer volume of clothes was overwhelming. And so I taught them how to do laundry when they were old enough to do their own, and gave them like ways to sort it to make it easy for them, and assign them a day of the week. And that really worked, because it was like, this is your day, so remember to get in there and do the laundry. And it made sure that they weren't in there when I needed to go in, because then it would throw off my routine too. I also only buy wrinkle-free clothes. I don't iron. I won't iron. And I'm not good at, running back and forth to a dry cleaner. That's just not going to happen. So if they can't go directly from the wash to the dryer back into the closet, I don't buy it. It's just not something I'm good at. So I acknowledge that. And I really don't buy things that aren't able to be washed and worn. And I also don't have a dresser, which is something that I got rid of my dresser a few years ago, because I realized having all these different places for clothes, like I have some that go in the dresser, some that go in the closet, didn't work for me. So I just have bins and shelves that I can see everything. So it makes it easier to keep it organized, and I can see what I have. So I'm more likely to use it, and I hang things, and that's it. And that's worked really well for me. I just found, and as long as I still had a dresser, I resisted trying to open they were always overfilled, and I'd try to fight them to get them open. So they would always just, clean clothes would stay in a basket, and it was just a hassle. So those tips have helped me to get a handle over the years of my laundry, and then also the dishes and the clutter. So those are 3 areas that I do really well. So I can have my house clean if somebody needed to come inside, where it would look at a glance put together, and you'd be like, Patty, what are you talking about? It looks great. Yes, in like 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most, I can do that. And that feels really good. But I'm well aware if you walk in my house and you take your shoes off, you will have dog hair all over your socks. I don't care if I just swept the floor, give it an hour or two and you're gonna have dog hair on your socks. Or you're gonna have dog hair on your socks just because even if I Swiffered it, it's not perfect. There's still gonna be dog hair. If you look at my baseboards closely, don't look at my baseboards. Just don't. If you wear glasses, take them off at the door. You don't need to have them. Thank you, Becca. She's taking off her glasses. So, I still have 3 dogs. I still have kids at home. It's messy, but it's not unorganized. So it's progress, still working on the cleaning part, but always important to acknowledge the progress. I have so much more energy, Becca, than I did the first time I did this. I was like, literally like, kind of like wearing myself down just talking about it. Okay. So some lessons I've learned over the years work for me, and I want to share these in case they resonate with you or if they help you. One is urgency works for me. So I've even invited company to my house to get my house cleaned up because I know there is no way I'm not going to go through a cleaning spree if I have company coming. And if my house gets to a certain point, I'm really struggling. I find if I just go ahead and invite somebody to come over to the house, I will get the room, at least the rooms that they would be in, clean, like really, really clean. I take before and after pics. So anytime I'm going to do anything, I even took pictures of my bathroom before I cleaned it so I could remember, because our brains don't hold on to that evidence in a helpful way. So pictures to me are just such a great way to acknowledge progress. So I take pictures before and after, but I also have the after pictures to remind me what it looks like to create some motivation to reconnect to it. New cleaning supplies, I've already shared, definitely work. Body doubling works. So just like I'm using Becca right now, essentially as a body double, she's sitting in here and supporting my energy as I'm recording this, talking about a topic that is definitely a drainer for me. Body doubling, I don't even care if you're not helping me clean. If you're just in the room while I'm cleaning, it's distracting me from the fact I'm cleaning. And it can be virtual. So I'll get on a phone call and clean while I'm talking to somebody because I don't need to think about it. It's not like I'm doing, oh my gosh, math. I'm just cleaning. So anything that distracts my mind from the fact that I'm cleaning can help. Body doubling is definitely one of them. Another is using music. So like a music playlist or a podcast, or even having a movie on in the background. So like when I was cleaning my bathroom, I put Forrest Gump on. I'm not watching it, but I don't need to. I've seen it so many times. The movie literally plays in my brain while I'm listening and it entertains me enough that I'm not focusing on, I am literally scrubbing a toilet right now. I'm like laughing because I can picture Forrest hanging upside down, talking about how he learned how to dangle. And that just cracks me up. Structure. So having, the kind of fly lady approach, the list of tasks for each room. For my kids, I used to hang like on the back of the bathroom door, there were the steps that they needed to follow to clean the bathroom. Because I remember when they were really little and I was like, okay, your chore is the bathroom, make sure it's clean. It's clean, mommy, it's clean. And I go in, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, it was like, it's a mess. And then I realized it was completely unrealistic to just tell them to clean the bathroom without step-by-step instructions for what did I mean? What did clean mean? What did it look like? So I gave them that structure. So the step-by-step can really help. And then some client tips that they have shared with me that worked for them in cleaning some things. I have a client that has specific days for specific tasks. So like a specific day to change the bedding on beds, or a specific day for laundry, a specific day to cook meals for the week. So if a specific day to do things would work for you, that can be an approach. I have one client that took the music to next level to support cleaning. She had a cleaning playlist, but here's what was genius in it. She loved the soundtrack to The Sound of Music. And so she looked at the list of songs and the length of the songs, and she tied the task to the song. So let's say, the hills are alive with the sound of music. Let's say it's like 3 minutes and 46 seconds. She was like, I'm going to wipe down the counters while that's playing. And then when the song ended, she's done. Even if she wasn't finished, she was like, it was more than nothing. It let her check a box and be able to make progress. And she just followed the playlist. So when the song changed, oh, now I go here, and she'd go to that place and she cleaned the next thing. And I just thought that was such a fun ADHD friendly way to approach getting something done that we often really struggle to get checked off. And then the last strategy that I know would work for me, and in case it works for you, I shared in my celebration at the beginning, outsource it. If it's like so draining and really doesn't, speak to your natural strengths, outsourcing it can be, a kindness because somebody else, you're paying them to do something. So it's maybe providing an income for somebody. It could be something that they really enjoy doing. So you're allowing somebody else to make money doing something that they have a strength in, instead of expecting you to do it when it really just isn't your thing. So clearly I still don't have all the answers. I am not telling anybody how to clean anything. That would be far outside my wheelhouse. I still struggle in a lot of areas, but I wanted to record this podcast, even though I knew it would be hard, because I think it's so important for us to know we're not alone and to recognize, like I shared at the beginning, it's really, there can be a lot of shame attached to not being good at keeping up with cleaning tasks. But getting that perspective shift, having a chance to look at it with a different lens and see it as, this is something I struggle with. What can I do to make this easier? So like I always say, we're being pulled into it instead of pushing ourselves into it. And what I'd love to hear is what works for you. If there's something that you do that makes checking a cleaning task off or getting the laundry done or the dishes done easier for you, please share, post it in the comments for this episode. This is Becca, what episode number is it?
82.
Thank you. Episode 82. See, another benefit of having Becca right here. Please share. We all learn from each other. And I always am looking for more tips to help make getting something cleaned easier for me to get checked off my list. All right, so quick recap. This episode 82, I talked about my outsourcing celebration, where I've asked Becca just to share my contact information with the person that she knows that is potentially looking for new cleaning clients. So it makes it easier for me to hopefully take that first step and see if I can outsource some cleaning. The ADHD-friendly tool for this week is some cleaning tools. I talked about how cleaning tools can create sparkle, which creates more ease to clean something when I'm resisting it. And then the topic from today was laundry, dishes, and cleaning. Oh my, I shared why that can be really hard, tied it to our executive functions and how many we need to employ to be able to get cleaning tasks checked off. And so I shared some books and some resources, as well as some of the things that have worked for me. And I invite you again to post in the comments if you have some strategies that work for you. And then next week in the episode that's coming up, I'm going to share my favorite quotes. So I have inspirational quotes, motivational quotes, funny quotes, just different quotes that I go back to time and time again. I'm going to be sharing them and just how I use them to support myself in ADHD-friendly ways. If you haven't started your ADHD-friendly users manual, remember to check out my website, ADHD-friendly.com. There's tons of resources on there to get you started with yours. And if you haven't yet, please like or subscribe to this podcast. I'm always hoping to reach more people, to support them in ADHD-friendly ways to make their lives a little bit more easy. So if this resonated with you, please share it. If something in here didn't resonate with you, let it go. Only hold on to what works, let go of what doesn't. That's it for this episode. Until next time, tally ho.